to another Sunday Service Live. I am the youth pastor of Greater Than Youth Ministry. My name is Deshon Powell, and I just want to welcome you to another Sunday Service Live. I'm just going to take some time to kind of share with you personally how I'm feeling going into this holiday season. And I just wanted to have more of an intimate conversation to discuss as we approach the Christmas holiday. These remarks that I'm going to make have more to do with me and me sharing myself personally with you, more so than they do with any association with International Christian Center or the Greater Than Youth Ministry. But I just wanted to be able to speak candidly to kind of share just some of my thoughts going into this holiday. This will be more of a relaxed conversation. I won't be able to respond necessarily to any chats that you guys submit through the chat window, but I will respond to them upon finishing. Over the last month or so, we've made attempts to share with you the gospel, the message of the kingdom with regard to Jesus and all of those who were his disciples, and to try to bring the Bible to life, to be able to share the word with you in a different format that in some cases is a little lighthearted. Hopefully you were able to laugh with us. Hopefully you were convicted in many ways, and hopefully you learned something throughout the process. Ultimately, our goal in the youth ministry is to prepare you with the word for the things that you're going to face when you get out there in what we call the real world. So our attempts is always to educate you, to help encourage you, and to enlighten you to those things that you may have thought one particular way about, and to help you maybe gain a different perspective. In doing so, there's always going to be the challenge of whether or not our attempts to do those things were successful. But understand that our intent always is to do good, to do no harm. And I say all of that, I preface, I guess, my forthcoming statements with that because going into this holiday season, there's nothing that seems normal about it. And there are those of you who may be trying to get into the holiday spirit, so to speak, and are just looking to enjoy your holiday and forget 2020. But I want to caution you against forgetting 2020, because in 2020, while we are approaching Christmas this coming Friday, what we have to remember and what we have to remind ourselves about is the fact that every year that Christmas takes place, there are those who are without. Every year when Christmas takes place, there are those throughout the world who have been disconnected with their family members. And there's tragedies in the world, and that will never cease until the return of Christ. But as we go into this holiday season, please be mindful and remember and be thankful that if you do have your family, if you have your loved ones, to be greatly appreciative of that. I understand that in the society that we live in, that a lot of concentration can be focused on gifts and presents and things of that nature. But let your primary focus be on the fact that if you have your loved ones, you are truly blessed. In the United States of America and across the world, due to the COVID outbreak, so many people have lost loved ones. The family dynamics have been changed. And if you've ever lost someone, you would then understand that it makes holiday seasons such as this extremely tough to handle. But if you're watching this and you're listening to the words that I'm speaking, say a prayer for all of those families who have lost loved ones, who've lost loved ones due to COVID. Um, we've had a lot of issues within our society where the loss of life has taken place. I thought to speak even last week, considering the situation that took place here in my town where I live in Columbus, Ohio, with regard to the Casey Young incident. Um, but I thought it better to not speak necessarily to it at that particular point in time. Um, we as leaders have a responsibility to ensure to continue to build the minds and to not create confusion among those who we are responsible for. And our words have so much power and they carry so much weight. And we can use them as a means to do good, or we can use them as a means to contribute to, so to speak, the problem. And from a personal standpoint, knowing how I grew up, knowing the things that I've seen, I think I've seen evil from all sides. I've seen evil everywhere. And I grew up as a native, born and raised in Chicago, Illinois, in inner city Chicago. And I can't begin to tell you all of the instances of things that I've been witness to. And it's really not for this platform for me to share all of those things. But what I will tell you is that I know wholeheartedly that evil is in the earth. Evil is in the earth, and the evil desires to do exactly that, promote more evil. And there is always the built-in resolve when you are affected by such things to respond with more evil. I know that going into this holiday season, not only with the people who have lost their loved ones to COVID, as it's been widely reported, the loss of those loved ones who have been taken away due to certain injustices and exacting the abuse of power by those who have authority to protect and serve. It's very easy for me to, it would be very easy for me to stereotype those individuals and say that they're all bad. If not knowing a few of them, that would probably be our error in judgment to take that approach or even that paradigm. But I am of the mind that there are those who do a lot of great good in the communities throughout the U.S. Who bear the shield per se, and take wholeheartedly the fact that they are in their position to protect and to serve, and they take it seriously to the extent of ensuring that they do their duty while also carrying out their Christian responsibility. However, there are always those who make the whole look bad, and all it takes is a few. The same is true even for me as an African American male, where it's very easy for someone like myself to be stereotyped. If I'm not wearing this suit when I'm in public and I'm dressed a certain way, I'm stereotyped all the time. It doesn't matter that I'm a CEO, doesn't matter that what level of education I've achieved or success I've achieved. None of that means anything. If my hair is a certain way and if I wear certain clothing, I'm immediately placed into a box. And I'm aware of that fact. I've been aware of that fact since I was young. As an African American, it's the very reason why, in raising my 4 children, we instilled in them a certain amount of awareness of the different injustices that exist within the society that we live in, to be mindful that they can't carry on in a certain fashion, assuming that somehow they'll be treated equally as their peers. Um, and that's a conversation that some are willing to have. That's a conversation that some are not willing to have. I believe that ignorance exists everywhere. I believe that there are those who will operate out of ignorance, um, and that's regardless of what skin color they may be, regardless of what heritage they may be. Ignorance just exists everywhere, and it needs not to be any logic or rationalization as to why it exists. I don't believe that you can rationalize, logicalize with those who desire to carry on in ignorance. I do believe that that understanding that evil exists, there has to be knowledge with how to combat evil. Certainly, combating evil with more evil is not the appropriate approach, because ultimately what will transpire is the death and the destruction of so many people who are just innocent bystanders. But the need to act, the need to engage, is the responsibility of all of us as citizens of this society that we are partaking in. And to stand by and do nothing, to stand by and be silent, would be an errant judgment as well. I say all this to say that as we go into the holiday season, it's very easy to set aside all that has taken place, and it's very easy to focus in on me, to simply want to be done with the year that we're in and move into the new year and forget that this year ever happened. But you cannot forget, and you cannot leave to the side the problems that exist. And they should stay in your mind as you go into this holiday season. For me personally, as I stated, I have 4 kids that I've raised who are the ages between 18 and about to be 23. And when you spend that much time investing into the life of an individual, for their life to be taken out of hatred and off of on a whim, just because. I could only imagine how I would feel and how I would respond if those things took place with mine. And as I go into this holiday season, it's kind of hard for me to not think on all of the atrocities that have taken place. And it's my responsibility also to put perspective to those things that transpire. I don't really know how influential my statements will be, but I will say this, is that for me, to combat the evil that exists, I do have to show love, and I have to be intentional about the love that I show. I have to be intentional about the life that I lead. I have to be intentional about the words that I choose to use and to express to those that I encounter. I have to engage with people on a level spiritually and naturally to where I can be a light in their lives, to help change the minds and the way that people think, to help advance an agenda that combats the evil agenda that exists in this world. And I can't do that if I don't choose to, one, grow myself, mature myself. And as a believer, I can't do that if I don't choose to increase my knowledge, increase my understanding, and grow my relationship with God. All I can do if I don't do those things is contribute even more to the problem. And there is no single solution that is going to resolve the issues that exist in this world so long as we are here. And so I choose to spread this gospel. I choose to give the good news of Christ. I choose to speak about the eternal things simply because that is the point that's going to matter more than anything. Because at the end of the day, if we live or if we die, there is judgment that follows. There is a heaven, there is a hell. We go into this season and we speak of Christ, and the whole point of Christ is to point you to the Father. And if we ignore and make that about anything else, then we take for granted the opportunity that we have. This season is meant to talk about the person who came into the earth to bring about the salvation that we are all in need of. We were all sinners, and we were all facing an eternal death. And there are those who are in the earth who would make themselves our enemies, who would take our lives senselessly, who would oppress us, who would do grave harm to us. And if we're not mindful that this has taken place throughout the ages, that this is nothing new, then we'll lose sight and we'll get caught up in the earth today, in today's going-ons, and we will not address the thing that is more important, which is our eternal state. I believe that wholeheartedly, stake my reputation and my life on it. And I believe that because we lose sight of that, it's very easy to get caught up in the things of this world. The world would tell you that this season is about gift giving and sharing and simply just being with family. And those things are all great, but I want to make sure that you get the more important message. And that more important message is that the time that you have on this earth, your days are numbered. You neither know the time when the time is going to end, and you don't have the luxury to wait. The time is now to choose what it is that you believe. The time is now to choose if you will choose the Lord or if you will choose the world. If you choose to ignore the fact that you need to choose, you must understand that you've already chosen. This season is less about gift giving. This season is, even though they've made it about the birth of Jesus, has lost sense of the essence of why Jesus came, why he had to come. It's because this world, for all of the things that are good in it, there's just as many things that are in it that bring about evil. And if we don't make the conscious effort to choose now, we don't know what our tomorrow is going to be, and you don't know that you have enough time. So keep in mind all of the lives that were lost. We don't know that those lives were lives that were individuals that had a relationship with God, that had a relationship with Christ. We don't know if they were believers or not. What we do know is that for many of them, their lives were lost senselessly. That these things could have been prevented. If you have faith and trust in your governmental system, if you have faith and trust in your security blanket in your savings account or your investment accounts, if you have faith and trust solely in man, whether that be you as youth in your parents, or you as youth in your friends, or you as an adult in the system that you're a part of, if you have your confidence stored in those things, your confidence will be shattered and your faith will be tested. We must never lose sight and never lose focus of what the main thing is. My main thing is that if you're a participant, if you're watching this, is that your soul is what I'm interested in. I'm interested in your soul being saved eternally from the death that is to come, from the judgment that is to come. That's my primary focus. That's my primary goal. And going into this season, my goal is that you not get more gifts. For those who have exacted harm and have done injustice, I am of the belief that their reward is coming. I don't pray that they turn over a new leaf. I pray that they receive the judgment that they deserve. Now, that's me as an individual. Nobody would tell you that that's anything biblical. Um, that's how I feel about it. However, I do know, much like Jonah, who was charged to go to Nineveh to redeem those who had exacted harm unto his people, who did not want to go, who did not want to see them receive this beautiful thing that we call the everlasting kingdom, decided to go a different way. And then God had to intervene to compel him to go the way that he originally instructed. And even in that story, there are those who had done evil unto his people who then received the Lord. There are those who are doing evil and doing harm unto different people groups. They are taking different positions. They are going through and oppressing those in so many different ways, shapes, and forms. And a lot of those things are really outside of our immediate control. What we can control is ourselves. What we can control is how we respond to situations. And because we have control over those things, we can, through incremental change, make the change that we'd like to see. But more importantly, our desire should be to sow the seed that was sown into us, into the lives of others. Our agenda should be to share this this good news of the gospel with those who don't have it, so that if the thing that is outside of their control should take place and take them unto their death, that they would hopefully have had an opportunity to have heard this word and have made a choice to have, a chance at everlasting life. I hope to set out on this path and sound the alarm and sound the trumpet. And I pray that in my generation, that trumpet being sounded is the last trumpet to be sounded. But since we neither know the time of the Lord's return, all I can do is to sound the trumpet in my era. And my prayer and my encouragement is that those of you who can hear this, that you would sound the trumpet also, wherever you are. That's our agenda. That's our focus. That's the main thing that we're supposed to be focused on. It's not about gifts. It's not about the perpetual propelling of our personal careers and living out a good life and enjoying all of the pleasures of the earth. Those things are good and fine, but those things are no guarantee to you making it to heaven. There are going to be people that are preaching the pulpits that go to hell. There are going to be people that sit in a congregation that go to hell. There are going to be people that you work with that go to hell. There are going to be people who are serving as police officers and armed forces and firefighters and all different types of positions that are going to go to hell. There's going to be a lot of people that go to hell. My prayer is that it won't be you. And my prayer is that we all take the necessary steps, one, with ourselves to ensure our salvation, but that we also take the steps necessary to help those who may not have salvation get it. Let that be what this season is about. Let that be that this season puts us in remembrance of the fact of what the main thing is. It's not about just the birth of Christ. It's about the everlasting life that comes along with him. Because now we have a Savior that is born in the earth to redeem unto us eternal life, a life that we had lost because of our sin. Let that be the thing that resonates. Let that be the thing that sticks out in your mind as we go into this season, because hundreds of thousands have been lost just in this year alone within our country. There's nothing worse, there's nothing more sad than to watch people die, people that you love, and not know if they were saved. So this short address is just to compel you to, while you go into this season, be mindful of those things, because that is far greater and far more important than any gift under the tree. And It's not a means that you don't celebrate and you don't come together and enjoy one another. But it is my personal message to you to not forget, to not dismiss 2020 as just being a bad year. 2020 was a wake-up call. 2020 was a charge to all of us to understand that this is where we are in society. This is where the world is today. This is where the world in many ways is heading. For all the progress you may have think that has been made, you understand that there's far greater work to do. And that charge lays on the generation to come, because ultimately my generation may not be around to be able to see any change that will come. And so I just pray that as you go into this season that you be mindful of all of these things. This was not meant to be, a message of feel good, make you feel all warm and fuzzy. It is a message to make you aware and to remind you and to sober you up before you get drunk off of what the world and what the society that you live in would like you to forget. And so I pray that you don't forget. I pray that you go into the new year with the desire to bring about the change that you want to see. Don't dismiss 2020 as being a bad year or a year of major conflict. Use 2020 to understand and to sober yourself up, to know that I myself that I'm responsible for have to do my best to ensure that in the world that I live in my own personal world, that I do my due diligence to bring about the change that needs to be brought. But that change starts with me first. And that should be the message for us all. Change starts here. So that is my words today. I won't go through any extended period of time divulging all of the thoughts rambling in my head. I do pray that you all have a wonderful holiday and that you enjoy your loved ones during this season where many of us have been separated because of the COVID virus that has kept us isolated. I pray that you can reach out over the internet through Zoom and through all of the other different platforms that are available. Google Hang, I don't even know if Google Hangouts has it anymore, but all of the different platforms that allow you to connect with one another. Connect with your families, connect with your loved ones. Let them know that you love them, let them know that you care, because you never know whether or not they'll be there tomorrow. So that being said, God bless you, and I hope to see you in the new year. My name is Deshon, and you guys have a blessed Christmas and a blessed New Year.